I heard somebody tapping their mic. I heard it.
Hey, Sai. Hi, everyone.
Oh.
Hey.
Good morning.
Oh my God, my
Hi, everyone. Somebody's been littering outside the coffee house again.
Oh.
okay. I turned YouTube sound off.
This looks like whoa.
Hey Rob, do you have a fan or a electric steam shovel outside your window? There's just a lot of.
I guess not. Let's see. I don't think it's. Oh, wait. Yeah, maybe. Nah, it's not that.
It sounds better now. Whatever you did.
I did nothing.
Oh, I take it back. There's just kind of a roar in the background.
Uh-oh. I never heard it, by the way, so.
It's okay if you just, turn your mic off and on when you talk. It works fine. It's a very pretty sound. I have to look it up.
It is probably my AMD rate cooler.
I think it is an E flat 4.
La 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 la.
Somebody sang. I like that. Okay, Rob, you just had to brag that you had an AMD race cooler. I get it. I don't know that that's it.
I had the Wraith cooler on my Ryzen after I built it for a little while. It actually did pretty good, but it was kind of weird when the CPU usage would go up. It would ramp the fan really quick, and it was always changing its pitch, even though it wasn't super loud. It was still just kind of bothered me a little too much, so I had to swap it out for a bigger. I forget, was it Cooler Master or something? I liked all the lights on it. It looked really cool. I had the Wraith Prism. Okay, so for everybody that joined, I have the live stream link here. I just pasted that in chat. And if you can't hear, and for recap purposes, post that up later. Check the video here. Looks like you're sitting, Chevron. Cool. So I think everybody's done loading in. Let's see if I can find my start here. All right, so welcome everyone to this week's Geek Weekly meetup. The goal of Geek Weekly in Science Space is to connect people who share interests in all things geeky, and to build a community around that here in localhost. Feel free to join in the discussion in voice as well as in chat. If you'd like to be involved here in the community, feel free to chat with me after the meeting. We also have a website where we post Geek Weekly Review, host a calendar, and link to our Discord server. As things grow, we will expand our website with additional information and functionality. And I actually did some updates on there this week, so it's a little more streamlined on the menu, and I added a resources page where I'm going to start posting links to good information to have. So the agenda for today's meetup includes some introductions, discussion of some interesting news articles, state of the viewer, geek trivia, show and tell, future events, and some general conversation. So we'll go ahead and start off with some introductions. If you can say in voice or chat what you're comfortable sharing with us, your science-based name, if in voice, your geographic location, and what some of your geeky interests are. I always say sci-fi, but I have it's so hard to decide what I'm interested in as far as geekdom goes.
Well, you're definitely more sci-fi than I am, but I do like the sci-fi. So I'm Artemis, Spain. I've been in science space for about 1.5 years now. I'm originally from, I guess I would say there for a short period of time, and then 16 years in Second Life. I love anything that's like fantasy, sci-fi. I just love everything. It's weird and geeky. D&D. I want to get into D&D. That's it.
Okay, this week I'll be a gamer because last night I was playing Ark Survival Evolved with my friend Jeremy, so I'll go with that this week. All right, going around the room. Let's see. We'll start with you, Rob. Rob Vendelft.
Are we still like vacuuming or not?
No, it's actually a lot quieter.
Yeah, I moved my mic a bit, so that should do the trick for now. Anyway, I am a simple help desk engineer, system engineer at a company called Rescue in real life. And I've been on Second Life for years and years and years and years. And lately I found out about science space, so I just, came in here and I like it. I like it way better than the Second Life shit. But Second Life is good too. Anyway, yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. Yeah, a lot of us are
I'm
either
not.
came from Second Life or
I'm
still hot both worlds.
a guy. That's not me. I try. I want to do some Unity, maybe some. Yeah, I was looking at Bryce. I was looking at Blender, that kind of stuff. But I see all these functions and I think like, what the hell? Run! So maybe I'll learn it sometime.
Yeah. Cool. And then we got Sidearm over there.
There you are, sidearm in all worlds, Texas in the real world. My current geeky interest is I have a diagram on sharing electronic or assessing or looking at electronic collaboration tools like ScienceBase and Discord and others, and giving a common way to look at them from a hub. So I'm a systems analyst, kind of like you're an engineer there, Rob. So those are my interests. Thank you.
Nice. And then let's see, we got Chevron 7 over there.
Hello, everyone. I'm Chevron 7. I am currently located in orbit of the sun, which is technically true. I just don't feel comfortable sharing my exact location. I'm a fan of like science fiction and fantasy and video games, and yeah, pretty much I'm just another geek.
Right on. Well, good to know that you're in our solar system. You know, we'd be worried if you weren't. Let's see. Just another geek jag. Yeah, that's a good one. Let's see. We got Brisana over there. How you doing, Brisana?
Hey, well, y'all know who I am, but I was a little bit into Second Life for a little while. Uh, just pretty much trying to make friends. A little harder over there for some reason, for me at least. Others can make friends easily over there. I wasn't one of them. I also enjoy playing MMORPG games, like World of Warcraft, for example. Yeah, I know your secret over there, Chev. I know you've been there before. And I also enjoy watching science fiction stuff like Star Trek and the different types of Star Trek and other science fiction stuff without going into it, yada, yada, yada. I'm based in Indiana, but and I do like to read at times. That's pretty much it with me so far that I can think of. Okay.
Awesome. Let's see. And, looks like AJ just walked into the room. Good morning, AJ.
Good morning.
Going through our introductions here.
Oh,
So,
then am I up?
yeah. So, what geographic location are you from, and what kind of geeky interests are you into?
Well, I am not quite as cagey about my geographical info as Chevron. We live in Central Florida, within stone's throw of the mouse that ate Orlando, and it is hot here. In fact, the reason I'm just walking in is because my younger son decided to take a little field trip on his longboard and realized suddenly that it was a bit hot and called mommy to come get him. So anyway, that's why I'm late. It is the child's fault. I will blame him. And my geeky interests are basically a lot of reading and virtual worlds. So I think that'll do it.
Awesome. Oh, I forgot to mention, Artemis and I are both up in Washington State. It's been pretty mild here lately. Let's see, we got Futurist laying over there on the couch. Let's see, what kind of geeky interests are you into, Futurist?
He's going to type.
Cool. So the Futurist is saying he's really into programming language design. HCI and University Futures. And the HCI is human-computer interaction. Interesting. Is that in a general term, or is that like BCI with like the brain-computer interface? I've always wanted to get one of those. Cool. Gotcha. So just general user interface stuff. That's awesome. Well, good to have you here.
Cindy's popping in.
Yep, I was just gonna say we got Cindy over there at the landing zone. I don't know if you can hear us yet, Cindy.
Good morning. I'm still loading.
Yeah,
Slow
good morning.
load.
We were just going over some introductions here. Kind of general geographic location and what some geeky interests are that you might be interested in. Okay, well, let's see. While Cindy's loading, we'll go ahead and post some news. So I'll just say welcome to everybody, and glad to have you here. And let's see, the first news article that came across this week that piqued my interest was that there is a comet called Neowise that is visible with the naked eye. And you might have a chance to see it in the evenings now. And there's an article for you. They have like a picture on there too of what it's looking like.
Has anybody been able to see it yet?
I keep forgetting to look, but tonight, now that it's visible in the evening, I'll probably head out there at the appropriate time and see if I can catch a glimpse of it.
I've got Jupiter and Saturn out my window every night.
Yeah, it's been pretty cloudy here, but today it's super blue, sunny skies, so maybe we'll get a chance tonight.
Have you all noticed that Jupiter and Saturn have been with us for like a month or two?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool to see.
Yeah, you can see them at night, and then if you get early up in the morning, you can see them too. And then Mars is way, 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 way over on the left. And excuse me for my old geek moment, Cindy, but just at the beginning of May, Jupiter, Saturn, Mars, and Pluto were all lined up in what was called the Grand Conjunction. And I took pictures. I took pictures of that. I'm so geeky.
And continents didn't topple? And the Earth stopped rotating?
Just look around what's happening this year. That's all I've got to say.
It wasn't this supposed to happen in 2012, though?
I'm kidding.
Timelines change is the problem. That's it. We had thermonuclear war in 2012, but the timeline got shifted, so we didn't have to witness it. But we'll get into that later.
Yeah, it's
Junction.
The reason I asked is because the article I read said, go out and hold your fist at arm's length vertically, and then just above the horizon, the fists, you should see it. Well, when I do that, what I see are my garage, my neighbor's trees, my neighbor's trees, and my neighbor's trees. So I'm still trying.
Oh, well, that just means you have to go climb up on the roof, I guess.
I'll make a note of that. Good idea. You first.
I wonder if it shows up in the Sky Map app on Android.
Well, is it supposed to be big like Halley's Comet?
There's this picture here. Can you see that?
Okay.
I'll look right now. Where is it again? North, east, west, south?
I think they said northwest. Let me see.
And this is everywhere across North America?
Yeah, I think so. Sunday. Yeah, Sunday about an hour after sunset, it will appear near the northwestern horizon. As the month goes on, it will rise higher in the sky, moving towards the Big Dipper. And it'll be the closest to Earth on July 22nd.
Okay, A, I repasted Karsten's link there, Cindy. B, I'm ashamed to admit I can't figure out, I can scroll my sky map, but I'm not sure where to look on it. I know about the ecliptic and I know about, the major constellations.
I'm not busy with stars and planets after all. At least sometimes I am, but not really, really, really. I'm just an average guy. Who talks bullshit every now and then? That's true. Like planet congestion. It was cool.
I'll look for it later. I'll send a separate update if I ever find it tonight or tomorrow morning. Quick geek moment. Cindy, I sent you an in-mail about Les, who made dry ice fog emitters at Ziggy's. If you want to take a look at them, I thought maybe they would work for your fire extinguisher project.
Oh, I have the powder spray. I have the particle. I have the whole kit. It's just wiring it all up. It's and then the pose to hold the hose and all that. It all stopped dead due to somebody just stopping work. So I have to find somebody else.
Ooh. So another interesting
But thank you.
Another interesting article is the elusive Planet 9 is thought to be lurking in the outer solar system, but that may actually be a grapefruit-sized black hole.
Oh, jeez.
So they're building a new telescope and to try and confirm if it's a planet or a black hole or what. So there's some kind of gravitational disturbances going on out there, and they're gonna identify what it is. So hopefully it doesn't, come in and crash into Earth or something.
Yeah, no kidding.
Isn't Planet 9 the title of some sci-fi movie from way back?
Yeah, one that's so bad it's good, or maybe just so bad it's bad. I don't remember.
Just was like looking it up. There's Plan 9 from outer space.
Yeah, that's the one. Plan 9.
I think that was bad on its own, but good if you watched it with MST3K.
Yeah, Planet X. When I was in 5th grade, our teacher tricked the entire class into believing that Planet X existed. At the time, we had NASA visiting our school with some robots and stuff, and he played into that the NASA guys were there to recruit us as a whole class so we could travel to Planet X and colonize it. And so we had to write a essay on like whether we wanted to go or not, and we all believed him. And then we were all really disappointed to find out that Planet X did not actually exist, and it was all just to get us to write a paper.
That's so sad.
That's kind of hard to believe because if it came out of, I worked in NASA education outreach for 10 years, and they don't. That sounds like some grad student took it upon himself because I've been sent to schools for expanding your horizons and giving talks on, and I'm paraded in with a whole bunch of PhDs, but why they sent me is I was the multimedia person. At the time, it was CD-ROMs, and everything was pretty crude to what we have now as far as digital media. But I mean, the kids were going, "How do I get Photoshop in my school?" Because instead of having to be a geek and be a programmer to work with computers, I was showing them that it's also an art and exploration tool for information dissemination. And I can't believe that they would do that. I mean, because I've taken the robots into schools. I've taken the robots out on field trips, and it depends on what center they're from, I guess. What part of the country was that? JPL?
Well, it wasn't the NASA guys that did this. It was our 5th grade teacher. He just took the opportunity to because the NASA guys were there visiting, he was like, "Oh, hey, by the way, class, the NASA guys are like looking to recruit us as a class." It was all just something he made up.
Well, after I landed into after 5 years at the Department of Energy, 10 years at NASA, and Xerox Research Center, I've completely changed my tune as to what between the mainstream science and the real science. There's a just like you have fake news, you have fake science, fake education, and they've been pulling the wool over our eyes for a long time. I landed on the electric universe theory in 2014. A guy named Michael Steinbacher, and talking about geology. And it sent me down a wild path. So I don't even look at Earth geology the same anymore. It's, you look at the Western United States and all its scarring, and picture the spot on Jupiter. Now turn that spot kind of sideways and lay it over the what do you call it? Area of, I'm just having my coffee, I'm just waking up. Nevada, Arizona to Yellowstone, that whole area, Utah, Colorado. Now lay this Jupiter spot over that, and what you have is a giant cosmic storm, a global cataclysm. And they talk about the dinosaurs being done in by some crater down in Mexico. But if you take a look at northern China, southern Russia, you see a big giant crater in the desert, and the Himalayas are shaped the size of a heavenly body shaving the earth. They think it was the comet Venus grazed the earth, but because of their electrical charges, it caused upheaval. And that's where Afghanistan and Iran are so messed up looking, very electrically scarred if you ever fly around there on Google Earth and look at it closely. And then the fallout was in northern Africa, Arabia. It turned a lush tropical, well, not tropical, but, it like North America's green. It turned the beautiful green, and whatever civilizations were living there, it just turned it all into sand. What makes sand? Superheat, right? So what they teach, and then you talk to a geologist and they think you're crazy because they're so indoctrinated with what they're supposed to teach and what they were taught that they're like, but slowly they're asking me to come give talks on it, but I'm not the one who gives the talk. It's the scientists that I follow that I try to get them to come give the talks and presentations. But it's called thunderbolts.info. And what got me started was I worked with autonomous systems, and we had this little drone that would fly around Mars, and one of the things that this joystick would do is you could fly through the Valles Marineris in our 3D rendition of it in this little theater we had set up in the Neuro Lab. And it was even James Cameron and Shatner flew this thing. And I always thought that their causes of the Valles Marineris was water erosion and all this other stuff. But if you look at it, it looks like something went bam into the side of that planet, right? But it doesn't have the comedy, planetary, asteroidy look either. And so I think it was about 2014, I go, what is the latest theory on Valles Marineris and what caused that? And that's when I landed on the electric universe theory, guys. And it was a giant thunderbolt. It's got a positive and negative end, and it's much like how the Grand Canyon was a giant electrical surge. So the Colorado River did not carve the Grand Canyon; it fell into it. Because if it had been carved, there's no alluvial.
Cindy?
Yeah.
Can you paste a URL for that? Kirsten is trying to keep us moving on the agenda, and this sounds really cool, but I need a link to learn more about it. Thanks.
Sorry. The caffeine just kicked in. Sorry.
That's some interesting stuff. Let's see. So next up, we had if you're into automotive, you're an automotive geek or an off-road geek, you may be interested in the new Ford Bronco that's being revealed later today. Thought that was going to be interesting. So there's that.
When did they stop making the Broncos? It's been a while, right?
Yeah, in the early 90s.
I had a Bronco. I bought it off my granddad, and I drove it all around New Jersey and Texas. And after I had driven it in Texas for about 7 years, thank God it wore out because it had no AC. You need AC in Texas. That's all I can say. But I loved that car.
Was that the kind that had the top that came off? Carson was telling me they were convertible tops or something. What were they? The whole thing came off? That sounds really interesting. If that's the case with the new one, I can see that being like kind of a hot new car SUV because it's different in that way.
Yeah, the new one looks like it's going to be convertible, and it'll take the doors off and still have mirrors and everything else. So.
I think I liked them because they reminded me of the International Scouts. Is that what they're called? I love those too. I love all the weird vehicles like the Thing and all that kind of stuff.
Oh. Yeah, Opel. That was the weirdest thing when I went to Germany. And there was like this Opel factory right where I was at, and I was like, Opel? Wasn't that like an old brand on now?
Opel has been a GM product for a while, and now it's gone over to Peugeot. But I had a 1978 Opel Kadett, and I restored it myself. And I built a car PC in it with a touchscreen in the front and a normal screen in the back, a 2-liter engine, whatever. Yeah, I did everything with this car, and I like working on cars. So I think I'm kind of a car geek. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yep.
Did I say this Opel was apple green? Like apple green? Yeah. I look like apple, but my car was apple green.
Nice. Yeah, there's a lot of interest in that release. That's why that might be interesting for people. But,
You've read the article. Did they say if they're going to take the have an option for the hardtop to come off with this? Are they bringing all of that back?
yeah, as far as I know, it looks like it's going to have the removable top.
Wow. I wonder how they're going to do that with all the safety specs that are different now.
I don't know. It looks like it has like a roll cage in the back or something. I don't know. It's a lot like the Jeep Wrangler, I think. Let's see. So something else that was interesting is there's a new Star Trek series coming out, but it's animated, and they just released the first trailer for it. It's called Star Trek Lower Decks, and here's an article from StarTrek.com about it. Watch the trailer there. It looks kind of like a animated comedy version of Star Trek about these ensigns that work on the lower decks, and they just, they're kind of relegated to cleanup duty and stuff like that.
Like the poor technicians that were blown up on the Death Star, their story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I still have to read that book. Is that what that's all about? Are the poor red shirts? Their story?
Yeah, so that might be worth checking out. I don't know, we'll see. I didn't get to watch the trailer fully yet, so I'm gonna watch that probably after our meeting here and see what I think.
That is quite a big ad in my face about her stomach troubles.
Oh yeah, I think the ad changes to the video. Thanks CBS for forcing ads down our throats and making us pay for it.
So does anybody follow Secret Space Program, Super Soldiers?
Like Space Force?
No, that's a sanction of the military. That's a military division.
Oh, so like not government.
More wool pulled over our eyes for 100 years or so. We can make it a topic sometime, but you have to have an open mind. You have to forget everything you've been taught or told. And it has a lot to do with what's going on in the world today.
Sounds like a future topic for sure.
Yep, it's a lot of interesting stuff going on in the world today, that's for sure. So, we got the state of the viewer, and the current staging viewer is 2B54, and it looks like it was mostly just bug fixes. They fixed the browser surface thing, so that's cool, that's working again. The preview viewer is on 2B52, and live is still at 1B44. So Joshua was just saying at the tech hours last week that they finally got the fix from Unity that was holding up their TV transition, so we'll get that out to live here soon.
I have a quick viewer state update as well. At Tech Hour, I asked Josh I said, I have a client I want to show Breakroom, where do we go? And then he and Kirsten simultaneously pasted links for me. So I went to the official Breakroom page and downloaded the official Breakroom viewer, and it doesn't give you any choice, it just installs it. Side note, it's 52, so good. I'm glad to know they're happy enough with 52 to use it as the official demo. And then B, I went in there and started looking at the demo area over, and then Bree was online, and I asked if she'd come help me test it. And we tested it, and it works. We walked around, we had sound bubble, text bubble, screen share. I tested video share before she got there so she wouldn't see what I look like. And then there were 4 separate bubble areas, and a mysterious giant skyscraper in the distance that we couldn't get into. We were like birds flying into a glass window. But I was encouraged that the Breakroom product for public access and download and running works. And then the thing that we both found out that I didn't expect was that I guess the demo's on the main grid, and so is the viewer, because when I pinged her, I was in the Breakroom viewer. And she said, yeah, I got this, I got it. And I TP'd her, and she said, yeah, I got your TP. And then when we were done, we TP'd to our respective homes. So I thought it was some, standalone separate viewer. The only difference is it just takes you directly to the Breakroom landing point. So net, I was encouraged. And I am having 2 meetings with people in the next 2 weeks where I'm telling them, let's meet there. And try it all out, because the topic of our meeting anyway is checking out virtual spaces. So see how that goes. And I'm so glad 54 is still the current one. I'm not have to load 55 or 56 or whatever the next one is. And thank you. Over, out.
Yeah, it's interesting that it's on the main grid instead of on a white label. But I think in the Explore tab and stuff, it only shows the break room regions. It doesn't show the regular science space regions. So it's interesting how they can monetize things like that. Right, so, oh yeah, and there's all the URLs. All right, so we got some trivia. Let's see. So 1980s video games. What racing game welcomed players with digitized speech telling them to prepare to qualify?
Le Mans.
Oh man.
Close though. Mario Kart. Let's be buggy. Yeah, well, let's see. Like anybody's got it. It's pole position.
Oh.
So in
I
the
think
Lord of
I think the one I mentioned was the Commodore 64 knockoff of Pole Position, which is why I thought it was that.
yeah. So on the Lord of the Rings, what inn do the hobbits go to in Bree?
The Prancing Pony.
Oh, you got it.
Yes. And you can visit that at Lord of the Rings Online. A lot of rockstar moments in that game.
Yeah. So in Star Trek, the original series, what civil rights leader talked Nichelle Nichols out of quitting the show?
MLK Jr.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. You got it. That's right.
I
I
talked
couldn't think-
faster than you that time.
I couldn't think of his name. I knew who it was, but I couldn't think of his name fast enough.
Let's see. So in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, the Dursleys live at what address?
Or Privet Drive.
Yeah,
Oh
you got
man.
it. Let's see. So in The Legend of Zelda, the first Legend of Zelda game debuted in what year? Close. Sounds really close. A little colder. Yep, AJ got it. 1985.
So you would have been one?
Yeah. All right. So in the classic board games, in 2013, what sweet, colorful game had its cards replaced with a spinner? Yeah, it's Candyland. Game
When
of-
you said sweet and colorful, my mind just blanked because I just play the evil games.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about that. I'm like, I haven't played Candyland in so long, but yeah. Let's see. So in Game of Thrones, who is the Mountain?
That would be fun in 3D.
That would be awesome.
His name is Gregor or Gregory or something like that.
Yep, Cindy's got it. Sir Gregor Clegane.
Yeah, Clegane.
So in Star Wars: A New Hope, who actually says, "I have a bad feeling about this"?
Was it Han Solo?
Well,
Hmm.
oh, well,
Leia.
I guess it should be like who first says it.
Leia says it first.
Huh?
Is it
Yeah,
Luke?
in where was I just watched this like a week ago.
Yeah,
Or
Luke
when they had the
Skywalker.
marathon 2 weeks ago, and I think it was Leia. I'm trying to figure out the scene. Oh, when they're inside the asteroid in the monster belly.
Bad
She
feeling.
steps out in the gushy ground.
Chewbacca.
Alright, so the 1950s sci-fi movies. In what Walt Disney film did Kirk Douglas have a whale of a tale to tell you?
Wow. Hmm.
Yeah. Top one.
I have it via Google if no one else gets it.
Yeah, go for it.
20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Yep, you got
Oh.
it. Okay, so the final question is for physics. The cosmic microwave background radiation is evidence of what event?
The Big Bang.
Yep, Chevron's got it. Oh, and Sidearm too.
Yay.
And Futurist, wow.
I have to tell you guys a brief anecdote about 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. My sister and I walked to the local neighborhood theater to see that, and it was a double feature. And before we could see the movie we wanted, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, we had to watch Taurus Bulba. And no one knows what that is, but Tony Curtis starred as the barbarian similar to Genghis Khan called Taurus Bulba, and we had to sit through that entire 90-minute obscure historical movie before we got to the feature.
I'm sure it's famous now on Mystery Science Theater.
Wasn't Yul Brynner in that too?
So, moving on, we got some show and tell. Anybody working on anything that they would like to share? It doesn't have to be science-based related. It could be real
Oh, me.
world or virtual.
Me.
Yeah, go for it.
I have opened Blender, and I have successfully created a very low poly donut. In other words, I put a torus up there, but I managed to do it, and no computer hardware suffered in the creation of this torus. So I'm very excited about that.
It's always
Oh
good when
boy,
your power
rainbow
doesn't start
sprinkles and
smoking.
chocolate jimmies.
That the next step is the rainbow sprinkles and the chocolate jimmies. Right now, it is a plain donut. I have decided it is cake because they are superior.
I always get hungry every time I go to the dessert track.
I'm suffering from the quarantine 15, so donuts are out of my diet right now. The quarantine 15 is the 15 pounds you gained since March.
Oh yeah. So let's see. I did some work on the localhost website. I've been trying to get an update done for the region here, try and reduce the loading times a bit and stuff like that. But work's been pretty crazy, so I've been tied up until pretty late in the evening. By that time, I'm brain dead, and we gotta go lay on the couch and watch Stargate.
My son turned me on to a series called The Boys on Amazon. It's like Game of Thrones and Marvel.
Oh, weird.
Have you guys heard of it? The Boys on. It's a Amazon series. It's about superheroes, but it's more like Game of Thrones
The boys on what?
on Amazon Prime.
What is it called though?
The Boys.
Oh, the boys. Okay.
Yeah, and it's like the Marvel universe on Game of Thrones.
Paste the
Okay,
links.
I'm gonna
Cindy.
type it in.
I think I saw
Yeah,
an ad for that
I'm
a
like
while
on
ago.
episode 3 right now, and it's like, oh my god.
I have to check that out. So far, I've been. What was that one we were watching yesterday? It was so weird, and I was like, I'm trying to figure out if I even want to continue watching. But there's like a weirdness to it that kept me watching it. The
Yeah, it was Tales from the Loop.
Tales from the Loop. Yeah, it's like watching an entire season of indie art film, but it's sci-fi. You know?
Well, if you really want to get out there, that's the secret space program, because the thing about it is it's over the top sci-fi if it's sci-fi, but if it's real, that would be amazing. So if it's not real, it makes for good fiction. But the people that are talking about it, that have experienced it, are telling very similar stories before they even know each other. But they're trying to find each other. So I could get into that for a whole different session.
It's like the whole like Stargate plausible deniability, which is funny because they had an episode about that.
Basically, what's happened is anything you can think of, they've already done, and they're keeping it from us because we're part of its slave system. So it gets pretty deep, and this is some of the stuff that's going to shock the world when disclosure comes, and they can't even do it all at once. They have to do it in bits and pieces. But I found that to be, because we've seen every Star Trek episode 5 times, and we've seen every movie, and of everything, right? And now they're just recycled. They're having to change timelines to keep the fan bases, right? So that's why I find this secret space program so interesting, because it's all of that wrapped into one big lie that's never, or one big thing that's been kept from us for 100 years. Because if you think about it, why do we still have 120-year-old electrical distribution technology and 100-year-old car technology? We should be flying cars. But no, anybody who invents anything, they're shut down, their patents either stolen or filed away, and mainstream controls everything. And if you deviate, you lose your job as a professor or your tenure, and they just financially ruin you.
Yeah. Let's see. Anyone else got anything they're working on? Or any cool
Well,
places
not
in
what
here?
not anything creative, more like work. I probably won't be in for the next 2 weeks because I've got a career coaching project that I'm doing. And my coach is hosting their meetings during this. So, I mean, I'll be next to you, sitting next to you here at the desk, but I'll be doing something else in voice.
Can we talk about you?
Yeah, I'll hear. I can
Yeah.
talk to you guys through his microphone.
I'll have my headphones on so she won't be able to hear you. And so we'll just
I'll
be
just hear
talking
your
here.
responses.
Yeah, we'll just be talking here, and then I'll look over at her and kind of giggle. We'll see.
Yeah,
what she
and
does.
that'll be my game. I'll be hearing your responses and trying to like determine what they're saying.
Excellent.
Oh, my son just crashed. He's got my
So
old
my-
gaming computer, so.
So my first responder simulator came to a dead halt because I'm stuck at things that I don't have skills for. And the person that I was working with decided they're not going to work and hold my stuff hostage, won't even let me pay them for what they've done. So now I got to hire 3 people for what that one person was doing, and I can't find anybody to hire. And it's just like a couple clothing items, wiring up a raycast system, and a little bit of UI help, and it's just ridiculous. I'm like ready to just go to another platform.
Yeah, I think it's probably hard with the population, the limited population. There's not so many people that want to be. I think pretty much everybody that's here has got some other job. You know, it's just kind of a free time type thing that they do.
Well, the people that have aced the Lua with Science Space are not available. They're too busy.
Yeah.
And then you try to talk to a C# programmer, a Unity developer, and they say, "Why are you using Unity when you can't use C#?" I go, "It's just a prototype. Once it gets funded, we could do whatever the hell we want." So you can't. So Unity developers think it's stupid, crazy, insane to use Unity without C# because that's where all the magic is, right? So I've scoured the planet of 3 continents for a Lua programmer, and I can't find anyone to pay. And Adam says, "Well, I can't do documentation because I keep changing it." So it's like I need to start this over in a C# environment in its own thing, because having all this science space overlay is hindering more than helping.
Yeah. Well, one last thing before we officially wrap up, and everybody's welcome to stay and chat longer, but on the future events, I think next week is supposed to be some kind of summer-themed event calendar going on here in Science Space.
Oh,
So I was
yeah.
asked, so I was asked to kind of update localhost and our Geek Weekly event to make it summer-themed. So I was thinking of putting out a busted fire hydrant out there in the street, and like an ice cream and taco truck, and we'll change the sky to like an orange glow instead of gray. If anyone has any other ideas, or they want to help put something together for
So who is they? Because I have a big yacht, a big party yacht.
Oh,
Behind the keyboard, yay!
Well, the yacht might work on this sim if it was an air yacht that crashed into a building. I don't know.
well,
It's kind
that'd be
of a-
cool, like a space, not a space yacht, but like a hover yacht or something. I don't know. I could put tear down the wall over there and put in a little oceanfront, like cyberpunk oceanfront area.
with possible
Throw a boat
radioactive
in it.
water signs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we could do something like that.
Speaking of coming up events, tomorrow, they promise, it's for sure, is the community meet, which has Jay and Les and Dolome, and Dixie. It's at 11 a.m. Central tomorrow, Tuesday, and they swore they were have it this time. Last week they were sick, and it's kind of a new thing. It's only be the second time where they talk about community stuff and community-themed events, and I don't know what else, and makers. They want to start interviewing makers, having featured Maker of the Week or whatever. And it's different from Joshua and Tech Chat because they don't talk about code and viewer. They talk about events, so I'm going to that, and Karsten's going to that because dragging him with me, even if he forgets. And he's also an event, and so is Artemis, but Karsten is kind of represents Artemis. And Cindy, that might be cool. AJ, I don't know. I'm volunteering your time, but I'm excited because they're finally adding another sine wave entertainment, non-DJ, non-live music. Let's talk about real stuff hour. See how it goes. Yeah, noon Eastern, correct, Chevron. It is in the calendar. You cannot click on the region to enter it. You have to look for community hour region, very inventive, and like that. And then our other friend, those who know Jamie Lee, I see he's just got an event added called, very imaginatively, it's way down here. Where did it go? It was like, chat hour with Jamie Lee. I don't know, it was something like that if you're interested. But I like that because same thing. These people like Karsten and Artemis are adding community resident driven events in addition to, nothing wrong with DJ, nothing wrong with live music. Just I like things where we can talk like this one. So those are coming up, and the community managers did promise a couple weeks ago that they were now open to people having their own events. It didn't have to be officially approved and officially added to the calendar. Just tell Dixie Chick, where or what, when, and what it is, and give her some text, and she'll post it. So I think that's cool. Out.
Cool. Yeah, it looks like it was end of week chat is Jamie's event.
Yeah, trivia is always fun.
The community meetup tomorrow is the same time as Geek Weekly was, so about an hour ago. That's when they're meeting.
Futurist, there's the Master Series on the Sine Wave YouTube channel. It's kind of hard to follow, though. Adam's accent's pretty strong, and the resolution's too small for me.
Yeah, Jaden, I think, is working on updating some tutorials, video tutorials, and things like that to be a little more slower paced, simplified, so that they're a little easier.
I think that's going to be introduced at the next community meeting, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, tomorrow? Is that tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific
for us,
time,
yeah, 9 a.m. for
4 p.m.
West Coast.
UTC.
Are you West Coast, Cindy?
Yeah, I'm in the Silicon Valley, San Francisco, Silicon Valley. I'm south of Trilo and Delome.
So yeah, you think we should do anything special for Geek Weekly next week for the summer event? Like I'll try to get some updates to the region, but as far
I would
as
like to see Carson. I would like to see you in a red Speedo briefs. Thank you.
Oh, the mankini. Have you seen the mankini in the shop?
There you go. Artemis won't be able to pay attention to her mentor meeting.
See, I don't even have my mic on, and people can hear me.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for coming, Rob. Yeah, I think so. That's a wrap for our meeting. But if you all want to stay around and chat, you're more than welcome to.
I got to get back to working on my trust. who to leave all my riches to. It's every 10 years.
I just want to thank you, Carson and Artemis, for creating this event. I think it's really showing its longevity, and just thanks.
Yeah, great job. And the trivia thing should be a regular thing. Did you notice, Sidearm, that Pookie revived her old show?
I saw that.
Remember, she used to. Yeah, I talked to her and I said, sure, I'll be there, and I totally forgot, and I went grocery shopping. I didn't set my alarm for it, but that would have been seeing a bunch of people we haven't seen in a decade. I don't know if you were familiar, Karsten. Pookie Amsterdam used to have this. What was it? A game show, talk show? What kind of? How would you describe that?
It was a game show, yes, with questions for the panel.
Yeah, and it was huge. It was packed. There'd be like 75 people there, easy. Well, she'd fill the sim. You'd be waiting to get in. And I wasn't really into the game as much as just staying there, seeing all your friends and chatting with them in private IMs and stuff.
Now, I have to razz Futurist in case he runs off shortly. So I just want you to know what it's like to have Futurist as a friend. So in Second Life, at the end of the day, typically on Wednesdays, when I've been up first thing in the morning to go to the buzz and get exhausted after 2 hours of chat, then to tech hours and get exhausted after an hour of tech chat, and then go to Second Life for another major 1 hour event of chat, and then go to the evening social events of music and chat and banter. Just as I'm ready to log out of Second Life, he comes on and says, hey, guess what? I'm working on a new HCI PWD JAG Aberfromgy Fritch. Have you heard of it? And I go, I have not. And he just jumps in the middle, in media res, and he's off and running, and my eyes are crossing, and I'm trying to keep up and Google it, and I said, are you on the West Coast? Oh, no, I'm on the East Coast. I said, you're an hour ahead of me. Why are you up this late? How can you talk and think of these things? And he says, Aberjammy Cromberfish, Abergrammy Dub, and he's just off and running. So that's what it's like to have Futurist as a friend. Just wanted to give him a little shout out there. Over.
That's awesome.
He must get a second wind in the evening. Well, I'm out, you guys. It was fun. Sorry I got caffeine overload on you guys.
All right, thanks for coming by, Cindy. It's good to have you here. You have a good rest of the day.
Yeah, if you ever have strange and new topics, I'm probably in that sector quite a bit. So if you want to try something new and different, mind-blowing things to ponder. So catch y'all later. Hugs to everyone.
Yeah.
Bye.
It did give me an idea, though. Maybe for the summer event, it could be a UFO abduction summer event. Or we'll have a little UFO that flies over and picks people up and drops them off somewhere.
You mean the Asgardians?
Yeah, the Asgardians. Yeah, there you go. That'd be cool.
If you were abducted.
Yeah. Low-key.
Well, if you do alien abduction as a theme, I will come as my cartoon character. And that's it, buddy.
I don't know. I have to think about this.
I learned my lesson trying to go to Snow Track's last minute poolside 4th of July thing. I lost 45 minutes because of the infamous blue jacket wardrobe malfunction incident. And I came in a red bikini and said, "This is it, buddy." And it turns out, who knew, there are no red, white, and blue bathing suits anyway. Why was I looking so hard for them? But he has announced another event, and he's giving 2 weeks notice now, thank God. And I know a lot of you guys were at Mimi's Hot Summer Hours event, and that was kind of cool. And AJ was there featuring her poodle skirt, and Karsten was there with his leather jacket, and Sig and Artemis, you totally rocked. You guys look so cute as a couple.
Yeah, I took some video of us dancing over there. It was pretty cool. Yeah, I only wish there was more hours in the day so that I could actually do more on here.
Well, if you guys are still hanging out, I have one diagram I could show you that I would just appreciate quick feedback on. If you're just about to blow the popsicle stand, don't worry about it. This is the electronic collaboration tool thing I was talking about. I'll paste the link in chat. It's a PowerPoint. If you take a quick look at it. And the background is I've been collecting spreadsheet links from people for 2 weeks that are attempting to compare virtual world platforms based on their features and benefits. And at the moment, a lot of the studies I find have like as many as 12 or 15 in one spreadsheet. One person sent me a graphic that had over 200 separate icons on a screen. And I thought, wow, that's pretty hard to get into. So this diagram is an attempt to look at it from the user point of view at the upper left. How does a poor user run the gauntlet? It's that 6 gray box path to get to the top right where the shared environment is to the other users. And each of these other users, like you guys, had to go through these same 6 gauntlets to get there and then do something together. Like today we had a group discussion, and today we shared links, and stuff like that. The white clouds floating over the path, well, think of this as a Candyland path. The user is getting through the device interface, which includes foot controls and head controls for people with disabilities. That is a thing. There's a foot roller ball. And the head control is the stylus attached to a headband where you lean forward and tap the keyboard by nodding your head, all the way up to VR headsets, getting through your devices, wired and wireless connections. Do you have to download a client like SignSpace, or can you get to it from a web browser URL like Knockwood, hopefully SignSpace? Then what can the platform do for you? By the way, I'm including anything that's instant, synchronous, same time, many to many. So Google Docs and Discord are included. And then boom, you're there. And the white clouds are like floating over your Candyland path, that helping or interfering your ability to get to the end. Bandwidth need, cost curve, learning curve. Can you tailor a viewer or not? That's a big deal in things like Second Life for the people with disabilities. There are 3 separate tailored viewers just for people with disabilities, and you can skip the standard viewer. How sustainable financially is the platform? Is it secure? We're here, your favorite, Karsten and Artemis, IP protection. Can you use it with other tools like we're doing now? I'm talking to you in SignSpace and we're looking at a Google Doc. Private text, sound bubble. Can you edit your profile and so forth? Way over here, the people I've been aiming this for is administrators or managers. That administrators just education speak for a manager, and they care about cost, and they care about security. And then IT especially cares about the support curve. Like, do we have to install the client if it requires a client download? You coming through a secure URL. Like, imagine what they had to do IT support Zoom recently. And then scouts, which are people like me and probably Rob running around trying to scout out platform alternatives for users. And anyway, so that's the diagram. I'm interested in any feedback you've got, things missing that might be added, or to think of it later, but that's kind of my current geeky focus and interest right now. Thank you for letting me show that to you. Over.
Who's the target audience for this diagram?
Again, that's the one on the left. I'll give you an example. I was invited to a review meeting with a university professor who had spent 6 months writing a 45-page manual on how to teach classes in Second Life. He totally left out how much it cost. He totally left out whether or not it was appropriate for underage kids. Well, he's a university professor. It's not an issue. He also said, well, my administrators support me completely. I said, okay, cool. Is your document only for your university or for other universities? Oh, I want it for other universities. And said, in that case, I have already heard that a lot of other universities have a big issue about security. And then one of the other people popped up and said, oh yeah, who installs your Second Life and so forth. So if he was just doing it for his university, he was cool. But if he was doing it for people in completely different environments, this provides, I'm hoping, a checklist of things for people to look at and make sure they've thought about it. So that's why what I really would like to do is over here under use cases. I mean, in my mind's eye, I would write up a couple paragraphs. Use case number 1, a teacher and 8 students get onto an online environment and collaboratively create a 3D model of the human ear, including eardrum, anvils, bone, all the bones that go in there, the cochlea, and they would have nerves going from it to the brain, and they would be able to track how music is interpreted coming from sound waves on the left. Well, then you need group object create down here, in world, and a bunch of other stuff. Or a bunch of geeks get together and talk at each other and have at it with a group discussion. And we could have done this in Discord, we could have done this in ScienceSpace, we could have done it in a bunch of other things. But my thought is, if you had 150 candidate virtual platforms, and there are more than that, and you had some way to put them in a sieve and adjust the sieve, sliders around the edge saying in-world building, yes or no, web URL, no client download, et cetera, and shake it all out, you would get, a subset of choices that you could actually take the time to dig into. That's my plan. I'm sticking to it. And hope that was a long answer to your question.
That sounds good. So the users, is it just targeted? Is that supposed to include like general users as well?
Yeah, especially ones that are like on their own checking it out. Sometimes a scout is a business user. Like I'm spending 1 hour every Friday night at Verbella on the beach during their social hour, and I'm running into random people wandering around. Is this a good platform for schools? Is this a good thing for my business? And then we have really cool conversations. And some of them are experts, or some of them have already bought Verbella platforms, or some of them have. Mostly, if they have Verbella platforms, they're going to show up at Verbella. But I also go to meetings in Second Life, and I starting to go to meetings in OpenSim. I've been to a few in AltSpace. There's another one that just opened up, early release, called Tivoli yesterday, that is reusing code base from High Fidelity. If you want that link, Karsten, I'll send that to you. And it requires a 20 megabyte download speed, because they're going all out on the graphics and all out on the eventually your 3D avatar's lips moving while you talk and your eyes moving up and down. So
That was
it's just kind of
something. I'm looking here. What about international users? People speaking different languages. I've seen like in Second Life, there's like translator tools that you can use. So like the text auto translates via bot or whatever.
done. I'm adding it now. Good. You are now an official reviewer. I'm putting your initials down here. I know that what are your initials? C something? All right.
CS, yeah.
Well, I'd rather use your real life initials. I'm not going to spell the name out
CS.
unless it. Oh, thank you. God, that was easy. All right, now you're in. And any of you else want to be famous? Just give me something there. Their son gave up. Anyway, yeah, that's an excellent point, to be honest. And voice to text and text to voice. How often do we hear about that one? Which would certainly help persons with disabilities and so forth. And then this is a fun one. You're a tech guy. The guy dinged me again, said, "Sidearm, you forgot to put remote procedure calls in there." And that's Meta Basalt, if AJ remembers how he talks, unless she's gone. She's still here. But he loves RPCs because he has dinosaur bones. And if you click a dinosaur bone, it gives you a quiz or something. And apparently it's pinging some other app somewhere else, either in the world or in a separate world. And so I added that because it sounded like a cool thing. It sounds like a special case of scripting, but maybe it's the ability of, someone said today, using the platform you're on interactively with other tools, maybe not just manually, but automatically. So anyway, that's added. Anything else you guys see that might be useful to add there? Again, the idea is the things are in the white bubbles would be columns in a spreadsheet. Bandwidth need, graphics need, cost curve. Is there a free version? Is there a tiered version for a number of you, like that? And then people could, go to the details. And the other thing is the white bubble are things for you to highlight how relatively important is it. For example, building an ear in-world building is mandatory. It's not an option. For our group discussion, being able to build here together synchronously, instantaneously in the cafe is irrelevant. When I'm with AJ and she's at one of her architecture demos, she's resing cues, slapping images on them and showing us what it looks like, changing the colors, or she's actually making a table for us to look at. So for that one, in-world building is So and I've only seen one spreadsheet where they actually did that, where they had a list of features down the side and the next column was mandatory, nice to have, irrelevant. Again, those are like the sliders on the sieve. So these white bubbles, again, are features in a spreadsheet column. And then this gray path is the unavoidable gauntlet that anybody has to traverse to get into a platform. Hope that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm open to feedback. I should see fiber space. Okay, I'm reading. I'm over with voice.
Thought, and I got distracted by something else in the room, and now I'm like trying to remember what it was. So last week, Joshua Tech Hours was talking about that their web viewer is they were expecting to have a prototype by the end of the week. So I'm curious to see if he's got anything to say about that on Wednesday, if it was a success or if it's still in the oven or what. Because I think that'll be an important thing, because so many people they just don't have gaming computers, so it's hard for them to get in here. And that was with the big thing with break room, so many people seem to not be too happy with the low poly look and errors and things like that. And it was because it didn't look professional, right? It looked
Well,
cartoony and
yeah, the thing with break room was there are low poly constructions that look absolutely fantastic. They look, no different from a lot of the stuff we're looking at here, but the low poly stuff in break room made you think of a Lego construction. And there is a way to incorporate both low poly and high visual value and get a good combination that's not going to break down people's computers.
right. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think they probably just grabbed what was available from the Unity asset store real quick to slap it together, Um, but yeah, it would be nice to have that, the really high quality, high poly, realistic looking stuff for business users. But business users, they just don't, or education, they just don't have gaming computers. They're using Chromebooks or low power
Well, yes,
machines with integrated graphics.
But when you're looking at textures can be optimized so that they work within a low poly environment, and you can do a wealth of things strictly with the textures that are not going to increase the triangles on an object. They were sloppy. Ultimately, it looked sloppy and it looked like a preschool. And that was the problem with it. And they can do better than that. And they just need to look at those options, because that's not going to appeal to a technical environment. There has to be a middle ground. You don't need to have something that is ridiculously poorly optimized or not optimized at all, like Second Life, and then the mock-up that they had of Break Room. There is a middle ground that it will be functional and visually pleasing.
Yeah. So as a stopgap, though, having that web viewer that is basically a full power gaming computer running ScienceSpace for you and then streaming that to your web browser, that'll be a good stopgap. Because then you don't have to. You can totally skip the need for low poly. So.
What I'm curious about are one thing, and then AJ, just as a side comment, one of the places you and I went to 2 months ago had the simplified children color palette, very blocky looking, but they weren't too objectionable. We thought it was kind of soothing and relaxing. It might have been the general one. That is what is in the background of the demo I looked at now. None of the King Kong, none of the city, just kind of so it wasn't too distracting. Still very primary colors, but not too bad. And theoretically, I guess they will color it or change it the way you want. But Karsten, my question is, can a web URL version, you said something about, well, they'll run all the graphic rendering on their side and just send you, the final rendering, but isn't that still going to be a high demand on our devices to accept the graphical rendering and display it? We're still going to need to show these 3D models, even if we're not rendering them on the fly. We're not rendering them on the fly, but we're having to, whatever you call the other verb is, where you present them on the fly.
But it's basically, instead of sending 3D data, instead of drawing 3D data with your own computer, it's just going to be sending a flat image. It's going to be like, if you can stream full resolution YouTube, then you can play ScienceSpace, basically. So you should be able to play it on pretty much anything modern, no matter what type of, how much memory or graphics card or whatever that you have. It should be able to just work. Because I think, yeah, it's probably been like 20 years since I've had a computer that struggled to play YouTube, So Inquisitive Loon might still have problems with his 1922 computer, if it's using vacuum tubes and or what do you what do you call those things? But
And maybe my son too. I think he just gave up again.
Yeah, Inquisitive is the one that told me about the catnip version, because I kept saying, how could you be possibly running Second Life on a computer that can barely keep up with Space? And he said, oh, because I'm using Catsnip. I said, oh, what's Catsnip? And he said, oh, and he explained it. So, anyway, Futurist, thank God you finally gave me an actual link, Cyberspace First Steps, MIT 1992. So anyway, I'll take a look at that. Thank you. Read the forums. AJ, why should it? Okay, well, AJ, what are you highlighting about the forum now?
I'm saying if you read I'm talking about the Second Life forums to keep abreast of the different viewers people are using. If you go into the forums, you start getting a feel of which viewers there tend to be more popular, and that will probably give you a broader understanding of what's available. But no, you don't actually have to read the forums, because guess what? I do that for you, and I can tell you what I know. The forums for Second Life. Let me pull that up really quickly. I've got it right here. Control-C. Oh, come on, computer.
I liked the Black Dragon viewer for Second Life. That was what Artemis and I were using last.
Black Dragon is very good. I could never get used to the movement that Neuron used in it. It messed with my head, but the graphics and the built-in pose system and a lot of things like that are very popular with a lot of people who do a lot of digital photography within Second Life and so forth. And it has some very interesting features to it. I have it downloaded on my computer. I am not against it. It's just, it confuses me, and I have enough things going on with my brain that I'm like, I don't need to know how to move again in the same virtual world where in this viewer, I can move just fine.
Yeah, that was definitely when we first installed it. It was like, what the hell? And then it took a little bit of setup, but you can actually dial it in to work.
You can, and there are hotkeys you can set up and different things like that. It's just a little more labor than I want to put in for my own purposes. Yeah. But it is a very good viewer with some things that recommend it highly for people who want to delve into it. Absolutely.
Okay, so AJ, apparently that Amazon, I'm not AJ. Thank you, AJ. Futurist. Apparently, the Amazon you link gave me is, I can speak English, not a Benedict thing. And I cannot copy anything you're typing there. So unless I take screenshot after screenshot, I'm ignoring your recommendations. I need a hyperlink. The only thing you can do in this viewer is click a hyperlink. Or I could go, I'm complaining right now, just me rant slightly, offline to my shortcut to the chat log and search the chat log by date, time, and hour of day and find that link. So please email me this link if you really, really, really want me to look at it. I'll be happy to do that. And I was hoping to get an instant link because then I wouldn't have to try to remember it later. Now, changing gears. Did I mention that Gentle Heron said there is a BDSM viewer for Second Life?
A what?
Yes, a BDSM. And she said it's for guardians of extremely disabled people. And the guardian has the D role, and the extremely disabled person has the S role. And I said, you're kidding me. She said, nope. And then she chided me and said, we need to be open-minded and be open to all possible ways that can help people with disabilities. So,
sure. This is a new one on me. Okay, cool.
I thought you'd like it.
Well, I do live on Zentra, so we have a very wildly divergent population right outside of our region borders. Yeah.
And then while Futurist, thank you, is looking for his link, he kept telling me to look up Benedictine references. And I all I could think of was the Benedictine monks and abbeys and all that, and apparently there's some guy named Benedict that I'm clicking a hyperlink to. Oh, thank God, that's it. Edited by Michael Benedict. All right, I will take a look at this, I promise. So, all right. Well,
So, side note about forums, I went to post the Geek Weekly and the Science-Based forums like I did the last couple of weeks, and I noticed I don't have permission to post in the events. I'm not sure what's up with that, but okay.
are you talking about the events on your own web page that you designed?
No, on the Science-Based website, you know, they have the forums on there that we're supposed to be using. So I've been making an effort to post our Geek Weekly event on there on the events forum. But it appears they've locked it down now or something. I don't know.
I recall this came up 2 weeks ago, and they said nobody's ever going to have ability to edit the forum. It has to go. And this, I don't know, maybe it wasn't the forum. And Gabby's all hot to trot about people using the forum. Maybe ping Gabby and ask about it. I would ping Gabby and call her on her bluff. I mean, on her. But I will say that I did ping the event in Science-Based channel today, about 15 minutes before you started. So I don't know if that helped or not, but I made a point of getting in early this time instead of being late like I was last time. So the more you announce it, the better. And my only comment is I just saw that you posted it in Facebook, Karsten, like an hour before the event. But I'm just not sure people on the East Coast are actually, maybe they're checking it. I don't know. But I think you need to post it like a day ahead of time or something. I don't know. AJ, what do you think? Carson's making a point to post this event everywhere he can. How much notice, AJ, do you think people need, since you are an event manager at Braze? Braze? No.
Chasers, but that's
Thank
okay. I'm having trouble working that out myself because people, a lot of times they don't plan their day out very much in advance. And so they go and they look on as far as Second Life event listings go, they go and look, for what if they have nothing to do, they go and look for it then. So in that sense, not much advance notice is needed. But I would say for Facebook notifications, usually the day before is helpful just so folks go, oh, that's coming up. I should make a note of it. That way it's not so close that they've got definite other commitments, but it's far enough in advance that if it's something they're interested in, they can plan on attending it. And that's just my thought from what I've observed. And I am not the sum and substance of every virtual world user. So different people may have different ways they attack that.
Right. Well, the problem I'm having is I didn't even get the meeting outline all wrapped up until like an hour before the meeting started. So I couldn't post what I.
Well, and the thing is, this is a weekly.
There's a meeting, Yeah.
Well, and the thing is, this is a weekly event, and so it does show up in a recurring fashion, at least on the Science-Based events, if people know to look at those. But at least it does have a place where it's regularly posted and shows up, well in advance. So I would. It's possible it would be better to get that stuff out earlier, but I would say as long as you're getting it out, that's where you want to start, is just getting it out, and you're getting it out. And if you find getting it out earlier is better, then fantastic, go for that. It is not a black and white issue as far as what the time span is, because everyone approaches these things very differently. And I've said that before, so I'm going to shut my mic again.
I ditto what AJ is saying. I think you're doing fine, Karsten. I mean, when I make suggestions, do not take it as anything but just like builds. I think word of mouth is just as important as the announcements. It's 50-50. And I think word of mouth is starting to catch on. I mean, Cindy, I think this is the first time she's come here. And I made a point of mentioning it to her. I think when you and I were talking to her, when we were looking at the diner she made for Hot Summer Nights, And then I pinged her again. She logged in this morning. I don't know if she was coming in anyway, but I pinged her and said, hey, Geek Weekly. Sure enough, she did. Yeah, word of mouth. Exactly. So the word of mouth is 50% of how you get people, and 50% is probably announcements, indirect, maybe, just the percentage to you see fit. And
I'll say something else, and this is actually drawing directly off of something that Site put together for Second Life event running. And one big thing that's really important that I've both read in that and I've seen in practice is consistency of the event. When people know that there's an event on this day at this time, you'll find this type of thing going on. If they enjoy it, they're coming back. If they find out that it's wishy-washy, well, maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't, and it gets canceled for this and postponed for that and all that stuff, eventually you're going to lose momentum and you're going to lose attendees. But this event, I mean, from everything I've seen, it starts, it ends, it has a clear mission, and it is consistent, and you've got that going for you, and that's fantastic. That's half the battle right there.
Yeah. Trying to fix the camera guy here. I need a new third machine over here.
yeah, and as we are all card-carrying introverts, anything we can do to support each other in being extroverts on demand, which we all know we need to be able to do and grow to achieve our goals. To me, this is it's just helping the world in general, if I may say it that way. A rising tide lifts all boats.
Yeah.
So with that, I'm going to go get some lunch. It's always a treat, AJ, to have you here, and sure to see you here in dual worlds. And I make fun of you, futurist, but I appreciate it. Keep up the obscure. I mean the exotic. I mean the highly pertinent. Truly.